It's 5 o'clock, and it's crackerjack.
A meteor storm that the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes! What? These shoes! They fit perfectly. Yes.
But James, I need you.
So does England.
There are worlds out there where the sky's burning, where the sea's asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Some of there's danger. Some of there's injustice. And somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we have work to do. Now, what am I doing here? I am recording this very early in the morning. Well, early in the morning in UK time, 9 a.m. Very early in the morning in the States. What time will it be in the States? It's about 4 in the morning. So what am I doing? This is very strange. You know what? So here's what I'm doing. I was going to just pre-record this for later today. I thought, well, why don't I stream it as well? Why don't I stream it and then I'll set it up as a premiere on YouTube later today and as a stream on Rumble. But I thought, why not just stream it? What's the difference? Somebody shows up, they show up. They don't show up, they don't show up. So the show today is essentially divided into three different segments. We're going to be talking about politics, the end of days, that stuff. You know, I always love talking about that sort of stuff. We're going to be talking about Doctor Who, and of course, we're going to be talking about Star Trek. Now, sadly, this is not the Star Trek, or happily, this is not the Star Trek we're going to be talking about, right? This is one second, let me find the clip from it, which looks truly shocking because I haven't seen it yet, right? I haven't seen it yet. I've just seen this clip, and boy, does it look awful. I don't even like the design of the Klingon ship, right? I hate everything about it, right? I absolutely detest this, and I haven't seen the episode yet. So we're not going to be talking about this episode of Star Trek. We're talking about the one before it, which is pretty dumb. That was my expression I had when I saw the one before it, which I also thought was pretty darn bad. Man, this season of Strange New Worlds has sucked ass big time. Has sucked ass. Big time. It's not been good, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I am not happy with it. Look, I mean, I guess the era of watchable Star Trek ended with the end of Picard season 3, right? Like, we got another season of Discovery. Why? Somebody said it's going to truncate a season. Who cares? And then they're doing the sequel to Discovery, which is the Tilly Adventures, where I guess it's a cooking show. No, it's Starfleet Academy. I guess it's a cooking show. It's so weird. So much stuff about progressive progressiveness. Like, it's all about fat women eating. I mean, you go look at a Spider-Man comic. It's all about fat women eating. I can't get my collar right. Anyway, I don't know what the obsession is with it, but that's just where we are. Anyway, let's get started at the first thing I'm going to look about. So I saw this last night after I streamed. I thought, well, this is kind of indicative. I think we can build an entire stream around this. Now, what the hell is this? It's a fox at the Wailing Wall, the Kotel, we call it. Now, the Wailing Wall is the last standing wall of the Jewish temple that was destroyed just under 2,000 years ago by the Romans. Now, it was also destroyed. This was the second temple. The first temple was destroyed a few hundred years before that by the Babylonians on exactly the same day. So it's a day of great mourning. So what's the significance of there being a fox there? Well, I'll read you what they say. As the Jewish world is mourning on the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, this was on what was it? Week before last. It's like that big 25-hour fast I did. You do it every year. Well, what day was that? It was like Wednesday night, Thursday, right? You sit on the ground and cry, essentially remembering the destruction of the Jewish temple. So let's go. So this happens on that day. And again, this is the last standing remnant of it. It's the most holy place in the Jewish world. The day in which Jews mourned the destruction of 2 temples in Jerusalem following the destruction by the Romans. A fox has been spotted walking near the western wall on the night of Tisha B'Av. So what? This is actually a really big deal. And then for religious Jews, this is huge, right? This is unbelievably huge. It is written in the book of Eicha, which is the book of Lamentations that we read on that night. That we read that on Mount Zion, where the temple stood, which is right there. So it will be so desolate that foxes will walk upon it. So there's a famous story. I think you're into it. According to the Talmud, which is a early codification of Jewish law, it says that prophecies of destruction have been fulfilled. So the ones of the prophet Zechariah will be of the temple being rebuilt will also have validity. But like the big deal is this: the big story is that after the destruction of the Jewish temple, the great rabbis were looking down at it, being destroyed, right? And they were crying, they were weeping. This was the end of reality for them, right? Most people didn't think the temple could be destroyed. They just thought, no, God would never allow that to happen, because all the Jews will be forced into exile, because the idea of there's so much of Judaism tied up in living in the land of Israel. They thought it's like having Jews without bagels, right? It's insane. Nobody believed it would actually happen, right? So the rabbis looking down at it, and they see a fox running through the Holy of Holies, right? Yeah, much like this. And they start to cry. But Rabbi Akiva, very, very great guy, Rabbi Akiva, who became a great rabbi much later in life, right? He was actually an ignoramus when he was a kid, when he was younger, and he wasn't able to learn. He didn't even know how to read when he was young, and he was a shepherd, I think, right? And he saw this rock, right, that had been worn down by water dripping on it. And so he decided with that, if that rock, this huge immovable rock, can be melted away by a simple drop of water, surely I can get something to melt into my head. So, and he did it. He forced himself to study again, and he ended up becoming one of the greatest sages. So this Rabbi Akiva, he laughs. He laughs when he sees the fox for this reason. He says, they're like, why are you laughing? This is like the worst thing ever. He says, no, because this was prophesied that the foxes will run in this holy place. And just like these prophecies came true, so will the prophecies of the redemption, the being rebuilt. So look, for me, take a drink, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, early in the show, end of days, right? I think this is a sign of the end of days. Now, the timetable I have, which could be, there's a million reasons why it could not be true. Firstly, Judaism might not be real, right? Let's not bury the lead, right? This is my own personal prejudice. Let's not bury the lead, right? That's number one. But secondly, even if it is, there's supposed to be like all this wars and chaos and misery and this what's the word I'm looking at? Degradation and desecration, which to me looks like the world we're looking at right before the Messianic age begins, right? And then it's supposed to happen. One of the ways for it to happen is the year after the sabbatical year, which is over in, was it September 15th or 16th, sometimes mid-September. So that's the timeline that I'm thinking is the cutoff. I don't know. Listen, we may not have recorded the years correctly. We might not know what sabbatical years. God just may be dicking with us. I don't know. But this to me is another indication of the end of days, right? Of the end of days. And it seems to be the whole Trump indictment, I think, is playing into that, right? In my disease fevered imagination. So here, let's have a look at that story, right? So I see the world changing, right? I see the world really, really moving and changing. So the first thing I saw with the world really moving and changing is this. Joe Rogan. Now, Joe Rogan, I think, is the voice of the normie, right? To a great extent. I mean, not the normie, but he's got the biggest podcast in the world, and he seems to have like what the normie's point of view is. And the normie's point of view, I think, has massively altered, right? Specifically because this insanity we see, which is, America has become a third world junta, right, with no rule of law. Alan Dershowitz says that the Supreme Court will strike down any of these indictments against Trump. But anyway, so look, let's talk. This one is about this one is about him saying that the election was stolen. So let's just backtrack to that for one second, right? Remember this, right? This looks dodgy to me, right? This big jump, it looks dodgy to me. It looks like it's I've never seen an election look like this. I've never seen anybody adequately explain this. And there was a gazillion billion different bits of evidence of electoral weirdness going on, right? It really was. And they just screamed at you to shut up. And if you say anything, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're a fascist, right? They just shut you up, right? They just shut up. And I think the reason they shut you up is because they couldn't, they just couldn't argue. So I think I think the general wisdom was, no, Trump lost. Don't be silly. He just lost, right? There was no electoral fraud. Well, I think I think the national consciousness is changing, because let's look at this clip from Joe Rogan.
Which election fraud do you think is real?
Here we go, Joe. You want to go to election fraud?
Yeah, because I don't think it's zero.
No.
And the reason he doesn't think it's zero is because of the very, very obvious and clear, the corruption of the DOJ and of so many things.
It's
No
not
way.
zero. I think we could all agree it's not zero.
No way it's not zero.
And we know that these voting machines can be fucked with.
Yeah.
And we know that there's some irregularities, all that Kerry Lake stuff in Arizona that they're trying to dismiss. It doesn't look like that's invalid. It looks.
It's interesting. My brother-in-law was just visiting. I think they came up for my son's engagement, and he's like normal liberal Jew from the West Coast, right? He's very anti-Trump, very, very pro-Biden. We didn't talk about politics, so we talked a little bit about climate change, right? A little bit, and he knew to stay away from it because look. The truth is we live in a bifurcated reality. He believes January 6th was an insurrection, right? I don't. I don't believe anything I'm told him. So I said, listen, you can get scientists will tell you anything. If scientists will say whatever the person paying them, wants them to say, right? And he said something interesting. He said, look, the truth is we have no attention span. We forget everything instantly. I was thinking to myself, well, you guys do, because you have to have no attention span, because if you did, you'll see that the world is fishy. The world is not as you believe it to be.
Looks like there's real fraud there. It looks like there's some real shenanigans there.
You see, and I think it's just getting too obvious for anybody to say it's not real.
At the very least, there was voting machines that weren't working properly, and it seems very suspicious that a lot of them were in Republican areas.
By the way, the reason they weren't working properly is because the ballots were printed out. They changed the settings to shrink to fit, which means make them an inch smaller, which means nobody would notice by looking at it by their eye, but it means it wouldn't be sucked into the tabulators. And that can only be done on purpose.
There's a lot of shenanigans. And I think there's
a lot of shenanigans. That's the thing. There's a lot of shenanigans.
Coordinated efforts to make sure that certain people get elected. I don't know how far they go, but I know it's not zero.
So this was verboten to say. 6 months ago. This was like insane conspiracies talk 6 months ago. And now it's like mainstream thought. So where else? Then we see CNN. Even CNN are crumbling.
Is how solid a candidate is Joe Biden?
That's the problem. That's exactly the problem.
And
what is exactly the problem?
That we don't know how solid a candidate Joe Biden is.
We know
weak as water. If it was a solid candidate, he wouldn't be trying to put his rival in jail over nothing, over literally saying peacefully protest, right? Their thing is they say he knew he was lying. Trump knew he was lying when he told people that he thought the election was stolen. Nobody believes that. Everybody believes that Trump believes with every fiber of his being that the election was stolen. Like literally, that's what everybody believes. Yeah, I mean, it's literally what everybody believes. And to believe anything, I mean, you know, you get the Trump derangement people. They believe anything, right? And they believe anything from living in a fog of ignorance, right? And that's why they scream. They can't answer questions. They just can't do it. It's absolutely incredible. But yeah, look, Biden's very weak.
He's not a solid candidate.
Exactly.
He is struggling. I mean,
within his own party.
It is hard to watch.
What's the thing I saw Trump say, which was funny on Truth? Well, did I grab that? Yeah, let me pull that up. Doink. Here it is. Share screen. I need one more indictment to ensure my election. I think he's probably right? I think he is probably correct there. He needs one more indictment to secure that election. But yeah, I think this is his lawyer really laying stuff out, I think, in quite a very clear way.
March 17th, Hunter accidentally admits that it was his laptop from hell.
By the way, how does Trump pick the hottest freaking lawyers ever? I mean, I'm sure she's great, right? My eyes went straight to her cleavage, right? Just boom, straight to her cleavage, because you know, it's the way I'm hardwired, baby.
The next day, DA Alvin Bragg indicts President Trump.
Okay, so that just might be a coincidence. That might just be a coincidence. It's not, obviously. That just might be a coincidence.
June 8th, an FBI document is released showing that the Ukrainians paid the Biden crime family millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. We haven't heard anything about that.
The next day, the Mar-a-Lago raid and the Mar-a-Lago indictment. Last week, Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal fell through when the judge realized it had blanket immunity.
And like, that was a miracle in of itself, I think. I really do.
The following day, a superseding indictment against Donald Trump. July 31st, Devin Archer goes to testify in front of the House. That was only after they failed to put him in jail prior to the fact. What happens the next day? The January 6th.
I mean, that was crazy as well, right? That was crazy. I'm going to show you that in a second.
Indictment that we're here for today. This is not a coincidence. This is election interference at its finest against the leading candidate right now for president, for either party. President Trump
he is ahead of
is under siege in a way that we have never seen before. President Trump and his legal team and everyone on his team will continue to fight, not for him, but for the American people.
Yeah, so that's. So I was just pulling up something else as that was playing. I mean, look, like this happening every time something bad happens to Biden, the next day Trump's indicted, right? Normally for the things that Biden did. I mean, and also, you know, you could quite reasonably ask, why is Hillary Clinton not being indicted? She knew. I mean, again, their argument is that Trump knew that there was no election interference. Like Trump absolutely knew that, and that's right. Now Hillary Clinton knew there was no Russian collusion. We've had that like confirmed a billion times over, right? So why again? If you're saying that you are pushing forth knowledge of this, then she knew that, right? That's something we can ascertain, that she actually knew that the whole Russian collusion thing was nonsense, right? But again, it's a two-tiered system adjustment. It's like this destruction of America on such a visceral level, right? It's really bizarre. And I have to tell you, the freaking Republicans are useless. They're absolutely who is doing, and who's the only person doing any good? It's this person, right? Not a politician. Somebody, your first-time politician who
guy.
Let's be clear. If Trump is knocked out, this guy is getting his support, right? This guy, this is Vivek Ramaswamy. He has got a really quite a direct path to becoming president of the United States right now, because if Trump is knocked out, this is the guy. They're trying to make it between DeSantis and Gavin Newsom, right? That's what like the deep state want, because that's something that's normal, they control. This guy is going to get the nomination, right? This guy's going to get Trump's support. I'll tell you exactly. You'll see it here. Why?
Sued the U.S. Department of Justice, and I further filed an additional FOIA request to understand what President Biden told Jack Smith, what Merrick Garland told Jack Smith, because we want the truth. Today, I'm in front of the courthouse in Washington, D.C., where the 45th President of the United States, my competitor in this race, will be arraigned later.
Again, every freaking candidate should be there. Every freaking candidate should be there lined up, right? And it'll be the only say. And you know why? Even if you can't freaking stand Trump, right? This is just, you got to stand against this clear, obvious corruption, right? Which is what it absolutely clearly is.
Today. But I think that the symbolic moment of today is something far deeper than just this case. We live in an era of the noble lie, the so-called lie that the government tells to its people because it believes the people can't handle the truth. Why is it that we see the rise of 3 different indictments, 3 supposedly independent prosecutions at the same time in the midst of a presidential election? It's because
independent, really. Yeah, I can't believe whenever the White House is asked, they're like, well, we have nothing to do with the DOJ. Darling, it's clear Merrick Garland is sucking Joe Biden's shriveled little cock.
The government does not trust the people to select their leaders. This is the old...
They don't. And look, by the government, that clearly means the CIA, the intelligence agencies.
Worldview rearing its ugly head again. We fought a revolution in this country in 1776 for a simple idea, that we the people determine how we select our leaders and have a government that is accountable to its people rather than the other way around. Yet today we now live in a country where when the people question that government, they are themselves the subject of scrutiny. That is wrong.
Yeah, and again, like, where is the rest of the Republican Party? Why is this the only person speaking any sense?
Wrong. I was in Nashville yesterday demanding the release of that transgender shooters manifesto. Tell the truth. Biden, Garland.
Yeah, memory holder. Just what my brother-in-law says. Oh, we forget. Who can remember?
Tell us the truth about what you actually told Jack Smith. And you go back over the last year, it's the same story all over again. Tell us the truth about the COVID origin. Tell us the truth about where the virus originated. Tell us the truth about what we know about vaccine mandates and mask mandates. Even in a recent hearing about UFOs in Congress, just tell us the truth.
Yeah, I don't believe that stuff at all.
Instead of repeatedly hiding from us the information that we need as a people. Turns out that trust is a two-way relationship. The reason that the people don't trust the government is that our government no longer trusts the people. So is this a
they never really did. It's just the people have started to notice now.
Politicized persecution through prosecution? I certainly believe it is. But it's the government's job to be transparent about exactly who told who what to bring about these prosecutions, because the fact they're arising at the same time is no accident. And I think it's best that the government now be transparent with the people about what their intentions actually are. Without that transparency, we can only expect far worse in the future.
Well, look, this is the prequel to Hunger Games. I mean, we really are in it right now. But again, I think this is the end of days. I think this is part of the end of days. I think this is a crumbling of reality. So we're going to look at a couple of clips from Joe Rogan again.
Is going to run against Trump in the Republican side and win.
I disagree. Again, Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, nobody can run against him with Trump's running. Vivek Ramaswamy can really do it. So this is his first bit he's talking
Because
about.
you're not going to get needs to be a wall. Even the mayor of New York City, from a policy perspective.
This was forbidden to say 6 months ago.
Employment was down, all business there, and he's waving to people, and they're going crazy. You're not beating that. There's and the fact that he was the president for 4 years, and the country was in a great economic situation, and it looked like his policies were actually effective, and that it looked like the unemployment was down.
Nobody was allowed to say this, right? I say this to people. Again, my other relative who works as a lobbyist in Washington, right? He said, "Well, we all agree that Trump was bad for America." No, we don't all fucking agree that, mate. We don't. We all like money and world peace. That was way better than this bullshit.
Business was building, regulations were being relaxed, more things were getting done. You know, when you look at it from a policy perspective, if you just look at it on paper, what he did was effective. A lot of people think it was effective. You don't like him as a personality, so you ignore that. Don't do that. Look at it in terms of a policy perspective. People liked the ideas that he was putting forward. And now you're saying like, oh, the wall is raised. Now the fucking everybody thinks there needs to be a wall. Even the mayor of New York City.
That's the thing that blows my mind. Like, again, Trump has a lot of failings. Don't get me wrong. I really think he has a lot of failings. I think he's been proved right about pretty much everything, which is bizarre. Like, all these investigations, they can't come up with anything solid. Right? Like, you would have thought he would be stooping hookers or porn stars or stuff. They can't come up with it. Say, even Stormy Daniels and him denied they slept with each other. I don't know what to tell you.
Is now calling to stop immigration into a city. And this was the guy that called for it to be a sanctuary state. When the reality of what your policies, what kind of actions you put forth, what the results of that are, and those results are highly negative. You're forced to sort of recollect your thoughts and come up with a new perspective. And that's what the mayor of New York City is doing right now. When you just look at what Trump's policies were, and then obviously COVID hits, there's a lot to which they know is not true. That's the fact that they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story and that 51 intelligence agency representatives signed off on that to say that this was Russian disinformation, which they know is not true. That's
right. I mean, again, people like, look, you can go on forever, but I think, again, it's indicative of the world moving, the world changing. But the Trumpster doesn't seem to be that bothered, right? It doesn't seem to be that bothered. Check this out. He crashed a wedding, I think, at Mar-a-Lago.
A very sad day for America.
Yeah, this is him speaking about it.
And it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is all across America. It's decaying. It's falling apart. It's not the place that I left. It's a very sad thing to see it. When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much.
Do you want these trials to happen before the 2024 election?
All right, there you have the statement. Basically, sad day. He made a point of pointing out how filthy Washington, D.C.
I mean that I think that was just a great point. Yeah, well, so let me just get this. There we get the clip I wanted though. That was the wrong one. But yeah, I love making the point about how D.C. is a disaster, right? Along with the rest of freaking America. It's like we all have eyes in our freaking head. But again, it's like my brother-in-law says, we just have no memories. Yeah, listen. You don't have memory because you don't want to be wrong. I mean, that's really the bottom line. What's driving most people not wanting to be wrong, right? This weird desperation not to be wrong. But as I said, the Trump himself Seems to be doing okay. The first thing is supposed to be they want it fast tracked to August 28th, right? Which is like 2 weeks before the Jewish New Year, right? I don't know how all this plays out, but here, let me just put this up. Like, he seems reasonably popular still. But how's he get out of this? I don't know how he gets out. I really don't. Well, I think he's gonna. USA! 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 That must be the bride. USA! Must be the groom. USA! USA! USA!
I heard so much about this performance. The bride is totally beautiful, and you're even more beautiful than
Yeah, I even got a neighbor who, and by the way, when I posted pictures of my son's engagement, a picture of my son's engagement party on Twitter, right, there's a guy in the background and said, looks just like Tony Bear. That's my neighbor, right, who's a very old school Republican. He was talking about the sexual assault case, the rape case. He's like, well, he wasn't raped. What is this? I looked at him and said, it didn't happen at all, right? There was zero evidence of it happening whatsoever. And he's like, that just blew his mind. He was like, you mean it's all just made? I said, yes, it was just an episode from Law and Order, right? That's essentially what it is. However, we do have important information, right? We do have important breaking information that how this ties into Doctor Who. Because apparently Trump has come out, right? August 9th, 2023, podcast day. I'll be putting out a podcast that day, supported by the Trumpster. Well, listen, I can't help but get on board with them. I just can't help but do that because it's I like the Donald, baby. I like the Donald. Do you know what I don't like? You know what I don't like? Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Do you know why I don't like it? Because they gave me hope. Those pieces of shit. They gave me hope that we would have good Star Trek, right? They gave me hope. And then, I don't know what, their brain just melted in season 2. It's not just that it's overly woke, because it's not that. It's just real low quality writing. Very, very, very bad decisions in casting, right? It's just, oh God, it has got, it's gone very Me Too. It's got an 80% female crew. There's so many moments where they're in 10 forward, and why they have a 10 forward on the Enterprise, I don't know. They're in 10 forward, and there's a bunch of girls cackling together in a bar. Fuck off. Okay, that's not Star Trek, right? And then they try to do cinematic Star Trek. So this episode, they really, I think they tear apart quite a lot that they built up in the first season. The first season, again, what was good about it? It felt like Star Trek, right? They went to Strange New Worlds. They had, episodic adventures, right? It wasn't like previously on Star Trek, and you got to know all this different soap opera shit. Forget, okay, here is how television was made in the 80s and the 60s, for that matter. It was, you would always have to assume this is the only episode anybody's ever going to see. Stop with this previously on Star Trek nonsense, right? Which is what this is. It's all built about, it's about tearing apart the Doctor's backstory. And this is such a great character. He was a great character, played by a great actor, added real depth and emotion to the role. I just love this freaking character and how they destroyed it this year. It's insane to me. Right, so in the first episode, they had him and Nurse Chapel taking this weird super drug so they can have the extended fight sequence, which was shit, right? It was genuinely agonizing shit. I was not happy with it, right? It just wasn't very good. And they tried. The trouble with that first episode, they tried to do cinematic Star Trek, and they just did it badly. It was too much autistic Spock. I mean, oh God, I can't stand the autistic Spock. That just annoys me, right? Spock isn't autistic. Spock is cool, right? Spock is genuinely cool. They're like witty comebacks. This Spock isn't. Right? He's not cool at all. But yeah, so this ties into that, and also risks back to the Klingon War. Why reference Discovery? Why tie this great show into the rest of the Star Trek universe, which was shit? Star Trek Discovery is shit, right? I'm sorry, that's the only way of describing it. Star Trek Discovery is unwatchable shit, and always had. I like the first 8 episodes, but other than that, when Brian Fuller's notes ran out, it was absolute shit. And they keep tying back to that and going to having the crossover with Strange New with the Lower Decks. No, you morons. You know, I want to get a newspaper and roll it up and like hit Akiva Goldsman on the nose. Say no. I mean, I'm joking. Obviously, you shouldn't. I'm not advocating violence, but get the nose. Hit him on the go. No. Don't try the rest of Star Trek is bad. Everything has been bad until your show showed up, right? It's been unbearably awful. Don't tie it into that, right? But no, duh. Let's tie it into Lower Decks, which was garbage. Anyway, so they start off another turgid episode. Whoosh! Off goes the Enterprise, and the aesthetic isn't carrying it anymore because it just doesn't have the characters, doesn't have the plot. This still looks beautiful, though. Still looks freaking beautiful. So I missed out previously on Star Trek. So first, we start off with a new style of starship, and it's shit, right? And like, for fuck's sake, what is wrong with you? Nacelles and a dish, you fucking morons. Don't let's reinvent the wheel. No, why don't you stick with the shit that worked, you moron? Fine. So this is such an anti-Star Trek episode. It just annoys me how anti-Star Trek is. You have a Klingon ambassador meeting up with the Enterprise, and people are mad with the Klingons because of the war. And they're ferrying him somewhere or another. I guess they got rid of transporter chief Kyle, who became Asian. Or then they brought in this like trans woman. I think she was trans. I can't tell anymore. Anyway, so this Klingon shows up. They're done with the Klingons. Now they've gone back to normal looking Klingons. I didn't mind the Klingons. I thought that was kind of a interesting new reinvention of the Klingons, right? So this Klingon was a defector, and he helped forge the peace after the war. I thought they had a peace because they dropped a giant bomb in the middle of Kronos or something like that, and they didn't have a choice but to make peace. But anyway, he was very influential in the piece, and they pipe him aboard, and he's just all like very mellow, like, oh, what is that? They pipe him aboard. Hi, I'm Captain Christopher Pike. I wasn't around during the Klingon War. We were out doing something else, so I'm just friendly and nice to you, right? And he said, oh, I'm a friendly, nice, lovable Klingon too. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Lesbian Latinx, one of the many excruciating women aboard the Starship Enterprise, is saying, oh, I don't like, because this, okay, they write her like a male character. I wouldn't mind if they wrote like female characters. And you know, during season 1, I would say Nurse Chapel, what's her name? I can't remember the name. Jess Bush, I think, and Uhura were all feminine, right? They're all strong, powerful women, but they're all feminine. She never was, right? They always wrote her as a male character. So she doesn't like the Klingons. He's like, oh, I don't trust him. And then she's like bad-mouthing him, and he's on the bridge, right? And he goes, oh, I'm a happy, lovey, cuddly Klingon, right? And he talks about how great starships are. Meanwhile, cosplay Spock is now dating Nurse Chapel, and they meet with him, and I can't even remember. They're talking about some bullshit or other. Oh, right. They're trying to make Raktajino, the Klingon coffee, but they haven't got it right yet. And they make it too hot, and he burns his hands, right? So he has to go to medical. And Dr. Mbenga Yeah, let's just write him like a completely fucking different character, right? Why maintain any continuity whatsoever? Let's just make him an entirely new character today, right? So he hates Klingons, as does Nurse Chapel. He's like, oh, I guess I'll deal with this, whatever. And he like flashes back, and he's like, oh, I don't like the Klingons. Then we get the titles: Member Berry, Member Berry, Member Berry. Looks kind of cool. Member Berry, Member Berry. Title, cool. So now it's called, this episode's called Under the Cloak of War. They should just kept this episode under a cloak, quite frankly. The Moon of Jagal a few years ago. I mean, like, really? Can you not just give the star date, you cunt? No, a few years ago. Why can the people writing this show not watch Star Trek, right? I mean, for fuck's sake, just put yourself on a course of watching Star Trek. Watch, I know, you should watch 100 hours of Star Trek before you try and write Star Trek, right? And none of those 100 hours should come from Kurtzman Trek, right? Have an idea what this show is. So now they're in. So she's getting a shuttle ride to this moon of Jagal, which is where this Klingon was during the war. So pew 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 pew, and she meets up with the guy. So this guy is Charlie X. This guy was a kid in the original series, and so he gets a cameo in this episode. And so there is like some kind of medical outpost during the Klingon War, and it says like find yourself a bunk or whatever. And then the alarm goes off, and they have to get up, and the doctor gets up. And he looks pretty good with his shirt off. He looks quite ripped, right? And they're seeing lots of blood and combat. Oh no, people are dying. Help us! So he has a trick. He can't save him, but he says, let's put him in the pattern buffer of the transporter. That should keep him alive, until we can get him to a starship. Yeah, and they don't have the like a tissue regenerator or whatever the equipment they need for some unknown reason. Anyway, back in the present day, the Doctor's got a lot of baggage about Klingons now. Again, out of fucking nowhere, And he talks about Captain asks him and Chapel to go to his cabin, his rooms for a dinner with the Klingon. They're like, fuck no. Again, the idea of optimism that we can move beyond our hatred, right, and for a better tomorrow is the fucking core of Star Trek, right? It's the absolute burning core of it, right? It's the most, I think, probably the most important idea. No, you have these two characters say, fuck that. Oh, God, hate them. And look, she making some bad points, but fuck me, she looks good in that costume. Oh, she looks good in that costume. It looks good with that. She looks much better with that hair than her real hair, right? Which I think is red. And he's like, fine, we'll go together. And they're remembering back to the time in the in back on the moon of Jagal, and she has to like massage his heart so he doesn't die. And so he has bad feelings. Anyway, Lieutenant Lesbian, the T-Nex, doesn't really want to go in. She hates Klingons too. Said, come on, we'll put up it together. And I tell you, that looks like a good damn jambalaya that guy's made. The corn looks excellent too. But Chapel and M'Benga, they're like hating this, and Spock's like, they want him to change. They want him to stop talking about what a great peacemaker he is, this Klingon. So Spock says, I'll take care of this. So he goes over and asks him, can you compare Sun Tzu's Art of War to his Klingon book? And he's like, oh, yes, we can talk about this for hours and hours, right? And he's like, there you go, stop the talking. Then they both drink a lot because they can't stand being around. Again, this is the antithesis of Star Trek. This is literally the absolute antithesis of all Star Trek. So that's the guy they were doing surgery on. He says, feels like somebody was squeezing my heart. I said, oh, yes, Nurse Chapel was doing that. And we get kind of a cool Andorran show up. Oh, I just wish they put the resources into something good, right? Oh, God, I hate this shit. So this is, again, okay, here's the things you're not allowed to write about, idiot Kurtzman Trek. Black Ops, Stop with your black ops garbage, right? Just stop with it. Can't freaking stand the constant black ops crap, right? So they're a black ops unit, and apparently Mbenga made this magic formula that he used in the first episode to make him into a super soldier. And can you make some more? I said, oh, I don't think I can. It's not right. Blah blah blah. I said, but we're going into combat anyway. So more pleasantries, and Mbenga and Chapel are having fucked off, and they can't really stand it. And so eventually, she's Lieutenant Lesbian Latinx says snipes, and they ask her to go essentially. There are tensions, right? And he says he sees how much that Mbenga can't say. He says, maybe you want to go and check on Lieutenant Lesbian Latinx. Just as he's leaving, says, hey, I hear you do the Klingon calisthenic workout, just like Wolf did, right? Can we spar together? He's like, oh, shit, I guess so. Meanwhile, back in the flashback, he's about to go into like this big battle to take out that general, the same guy. And he said, oh, you'll go into combat, it'll be fine. And so so they're getting ready for this battle. And he's like, be careful out there, right? He said, no, I'm a soldier, I'll be fine. Meanwhile, Spock is not Spock. He keeps experimenting with smiling. That one bit in the cage where he touches those leaves and smiles, they extrapolate way too much out from that, right? It's like, really? So more combat. Oh, it's all bad combat, and we got more people coming in. And he said, and the transport. Oh no, the transporter's down, right? They can't beam any more people in, and all these people are going to die. And he said, oh, the only thing we can do is clear the transport buffer, but the guy they put in the transport buffer will be killed if that happens. No. So Mbenga says, oh, it just does it. Just hits the button and it clears. So then they do like the wolf, back in the present, wolf Klingon shit. Why he does this, I don't know, if he hates Klingons, but okay, I don't get it, but that's just what's going down. Fine, and they do it basically goes on, and he keeps winning. The Klingon keeps winning, and he says, look, eventually he says, look, if you can be with me, right, be friends with me, then that's a great sign of peace, isn't it? That'd be great. So he does that. So then he flashes back to say, he asked him about when he has the whole story about how he killed his own men so he can go and sue for peace, right? He says, so which of the men you killed, which one fought hardest? And they flash back to this battle, and he says it was to Plonk or whatever it is. Essentially, he says Mbenga knows he's lying, and we find out how he knows he's lying in a minute. But we do more sparring, and he's like, so he basically says, look, I am not going to be your person to make peace between Federation and Klingons, to make people get closer together. I fucking hate this. Again, what's the opposite of Star Trek? This is the opposite of bloody Star Trek, right? This is 100% the opposite of Star Trek. Mbenga's like very tortured, and all these people are killed. So that's when he decides to use his magic. The kid that he liked. Oh yeah, and apparently this general had ordered that anybody non-Klingon should be murdered, including children. Yeah, that's what they had Chapel saving a kid just now, right? So here you go, because no, Klingons are gonna get us. They're all bad. So this is the kid he saved earlier. So then he makes a decision. Meanwhile, in the present, number one, Una. I hate everything about this. I literally hate everything about this. Una is saying we need to get him off the ship. Morale's down. Again, opposite of fucking Star Trek. So he decides he's going to go and kill this Klingon, right? He's going to kill this guy so they can end the slaughter. And he gives Chapel a hit of the his magic formula. Said, if the Klingons come in, take this, and you'll be able to fight your way out. So he takes his magic formula, and off he goes. He's got that Klingon knife with him that we saw kill his lieutenants before, and he goes off into combat. So the guy comes in again and says, listen, if we can stand together, right, we can make peace. We can really bring healing to both our people. And he's like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to know, right? He said, please, just go. Just leave it alone. He says, no, I won't go. You must listen to me. And then the truth comes out that he didn't really kill his followers. It was really M'Benga did it. And again, such a fucking stupid turn, right? It was like, it's just nonsensical. Genuinely nonsensical. So yeah, he tells them about it. Like, says, yeah, you're the person who said fought hardest wasn't it? It was really this guy. And basically, he escaped as he was killing all these other people, and that's why he sued for peace. And he said, well, if you knew I was lying, I don't know. So anyway, it goes on, and you see he's got that Klingon knife there, right? And then he said, please, my friend, let us make peace together. Blah. And then you don't see what happens because it's through a frosted glass. A fight breaks out. And Chapel walks in and sees what's happening, and he's been stabbed with the Klingon knife, right? So they say that and we don't know didn't happen, but we say that M'Benga attacked him rather than vice versa. And that's basically, and they got all the different Klingon blood on that knife of all the people that it's killed. And then they have a bit of a chat at the end, and it says, listen, you can really tell me whatever happened. That's why we have tribunals, things happen. And he basically says, I'm not going to tell you anything. Basically, I'm just. And for me, this destroyed the character. This completely destroyed the character. Somebody I looked up to, somebody I really, really liked, right? Again, everything about this season has been about destroying whatever they built in the first year, right? And the bio bed breaks down again at the end. Fucking awful. Genuinely freaking awful. It's an affront to Star Trek, right? It's genuinely an affront to Star Trek. And I think, and that's not even the single dance one, which is coming out this week. Fine, let's move forward. Let's move on. Share screen. Doink. So there's this little story. Existence of aliens can be proven in 28 days. Harvard physicists to announce if debris pulled from the ocean are extraterrestrial or just meteor fragments. I don't believe you, right? I don't believe you. I think this is bullshit to distract from the destruction of the turning of America into a third world dictatorship, right? Essentially, I don't freaking believe you. I think it's bullcrap, right? Bullcrap. Speaking of bullcrap, let's look at this article. Doctor Who's next big villain is Russell T. Davies' best opportunity to retcon Chibnall's controversial timeless child. Wait a minute, didn't you say the timeless child was brilliant and it made no changes whatsoever other than making everybody hate the show? Now, for me, I hated it beforehand, but man, they are desperate beyond desperate to somehow make this shit somehow get rid of this crap. I mean, even they know this was bad news for them. Russell Davies' return as showrunner for the beloved sci-fi show Doctor Who coincides with a rare opportunity to completely retcon the recent overarching plot thread, the Doctor's alleged origin as a timeless child. Well, I think it's reasonably certain, right? I think it's reasonably certain that's what Russell Davies is going to be doing. And then just bring in lots of chicks with dicks, right? Chicks with dicks and retconning Chibnall. I don't know. Maybe we could have just retconned Chibnall without the chicks with dicks. Maybe. But the chicks with dicks seems very, very, very important to Russell Davies. Where are we up to? The rare opportunity to completely retcon the recent overarching plot thread The Doctor, blah, 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 previous showrunner and overseer of the Geordie Whittaker era, the completely failed Geordie Whittaker era, Christian will establish the story as a way to clarify how exactly the Doctor came to be. What a fucking stupid idea. What's the name of the show? Doctor Who. Means there should be some mystery in it, you fucking cotwomble moron. Doctor Who. Yeah, do you hear that? Doctor Who. Oh, God. Despite that reliable canon dating back to 1903 had given audiences satisfactory answers to those questions. Nonetheless, with the 60th anniversary specials looming on the horizon, Rusty Davies reintroducing the classic Toymaker villain, we hope so, we don't know if it's going to be, gives the show a perfect opportunity to retcon whatever it wants. Well, that, I think, is going to happen, right? Like, all these rumors about, is Donna Noble going to die? Maybe, if this isn't the real Donna Noble, right? If this isn't the real Earth, this is like some, what's it? Like some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some construct, right? A construct by the Celestial Toymaker. Then, yeah. Yeah, I think I see that being very likely. So if she does die, it might be like this alternate reality version or this fake reality version. Well, yeah, we'll find out in a couple of months, I guess. Doctor Who, being a show as old as it is, has constantly forced not only to regenerate lead character in order to lead character, but also itself in order to stay fresh and appeal to new audiences. Well, yeah, that's true. Doctor Who has always been on the cutting edge of entertainment, right? Just as it sadly, when the Jodie Whittaker is, the cutting edge of entertainment was shit, right? It was the most shittiest shit possible. And people are like, oh, we should still do more like that. Yes. Because of this, it's no surprise there have been retcons have been a prominent feature. No, they haven't. Fuck off. Okay. Do you call the Deadly Assassin a retcon of the War Games? I can hear that to a certain extent, but not really, right? Nothing like this. Yeah. I mean, like, it was Mordrin Undead, I think, was the first real continuity error. That was like season 20 years worth before they had problems. And you know, there's plenty of ways of answering that. Examples include the limit on regenerations that the Doctor is capable of, the apparent destruction of the Daleks in the classic serial Genesis of the Daleks. No, they specifically said it didn't destroy the Daleks, you fucking moron. They said they set them back a few hundred years, right? They didn't. God. And how the TARDIS came to be stuck in the form or seen in the show. What? How's that ever been retconned? There's plenty of President Russell T Davies to do something bold, but in the case of the Timeless Child, it's almost a requirement. Well, that is true. Doctor Who needs to retcon the China Child if it won't explain it. Well, it won't explain it. Yeah, and I don't think quietly forgetting it is going to do the trick either. The 12th season of Doctor Who aired in 2020 and introduced the Timeless Child storyline, which followed on from Russell T Davies' complete revamp of wider Who canon when it was revived in 2005. It didn't revamp it at all. It updated it. It added in a time war. The plot line aimed to explore the Doctor's mysterious origin and sapped away the mystery. And what do they sap away that beautiful mystery for? A black woman, an angry black woman with a big gun, right? So 20 leave us alone with this bullshit. Which, other than stealing the TARDIS and leaving Gallifrey in a typically flamboyant and controversial fashion, has been largely shrouded in ambiguity since the beginning of the show in 1963. Yes, Doctor Who. Remember, Doctor Who. What was revealed was the Doctor is actually an unknown being from another dimension. Blech! Crap. The Timeless Child. Like, okay, so now I'm going to reveal the mystery and replace it with another stupid mystery. The Timeless Child, who has lived countless lives across multiple timelines, although its ability through its ability to regenerate or whatever. In other words, the Doctor was never Gallifreyan, but in fact a creature discovered by the ancient Gallifreyans who used the Timeless Child as a template for all members of their new Time Lord Society, which include the ability to regenerate. That's not really what happened, but whatever. This revelation was controversial for fans, many of whom were disappointed with the diminishment of the Doctor's mystique and mystery. And also it was shit. Let's not like, sugarcoat it. It was shit. It took away the long-held belief that the Doctor was only special because of the decisions that made, specifically leaving Gallifrey. Before this plot line, the Doctor was a normal Time Lord who made a bold decision to travel the universe. Russell Davies needs to reclaim this. Yeah, look, it's the thing. It's greatness is not something that's built in. It's something that you have to make yourself great, right? That was actually one of the great, wonderful ideas of Doctor Who, right? Russell Davies needs to reclaim this with the and with it the magic of the character. Yeah, again, but it's very much about chicks with dicks as well. The Toy Maker is the perfect opportunity to retcon the Timeless Child. Neil Patrick Harris's new role in as a Toy Maker, arriving on screens for the 6th anniversary this November, offers the Doctor Who canon a chance to move on and entirely retcon okay, this was like verboten to say a year ago, wasn't it? The problematic Timeless Child. Russell Davies has a good track record of developing an almost infinitely powerful villains who were capable of unimaginable evils. Doctor Who in general is proficient when it comes to this. Yeah, it was, but apart from when he got to Chris Chibnall, right? Those like every time he had a superpowered alien, they were always shit. Like the Battle of Rankos Avroklos, whatever it was awful. Coupled with the acting ability of Neil Patrick Harris, the show has an excellent opportunity to write reasoning for the Timeless Child plotline being a trick carried out by the Toy Maker, designed to play with the Doctor or perhaps fit into a wider scheme. Yeah, listen, I think that's probably the way he's going to go. I think the Doctor's been in the Toy Maker's realm for quite some time, probably since he fell out the TARDIS right after regenerating. Naturally, a retcon so extreme as this will come with its fair share of controversy and backlash. It'll be a backlash on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, right? But it won't, not amongst normal people. But the show is badly restricted by the content of the Timeless Child plotline. But it just opens it up with so many more storytelling possibilities, says Chris Chibnall. Yeah, Chris, you missed out one little factor. You're a fucking moron, right? You are a fucking moron. The Doctor is a far less relatable and likable character for it. Yeah, that's true. And also indestructible, right? And thus, the series will lose credibility and watchability. It already has done, right? The reason he's come back in is to try and make it workable again. But man, got to have those chicks with dicks. That's so important to Russell Davies. Plus, the plotline will have viewers. Will put viewers off the show, and it'll be high on Russell Davies' priority list to bring those same fans back. Well, maybe, but that hasn't been his act online of late, has it? I mean, like, it's been... Although I think he's under a lot of pressure, right? I think he's under a hell of a lot of pressure because I think Disney's in real trouble. I think Disney is in a tailspin. I don't know if Disney's going to make it, right? Genuinely, I don't know if Disney's going to make it. And everyone's like, well, Disney's too big to fall. I don't think so, mate. Right? I do not think so. I think Disney really might be shaky right now. So it was some kind of trick. The Toy Maker first arrived in Doctor Who episode called The Celestial Toy Maker, the 7th serial of the original 3rd season. Wonderfully animated by, I can't remember the name of the guy, but man, you got to find that Celestial Toy Maker. And see if I can find. I'll play a clip of it because it's so good. It's just so freaking excellent. Let me find it. There. Doink. Hang on. Opening up. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. There you go. Try this one. Now it's opening up. Bit of Doctor Who action. First Doctor. See the third set. I was over here. Celestial Toymaker. Is this it? I think this is it. Let's see.
As a non-profit fan animation within.
Yeah, it is freaking excellent. This
Something far more serious.
But the yeah, that's it. This is an incredible sequence. And this is such a hard story to animate because it's just so much atmosphere. Yeah, because most of the story is like silent.
Well, I believe this place is a hit.
I mean, the way they move is fantastic.
We want
why he hasn't been employed to do like the rest of the other 3 episodes, the other 2 episodes, I should say, is a mystery to me. Fine, so yeah, blah blah blah. Special Toymaker. The Toymaker was described as extremely powerful, with his eternal life being being driven by a perpetual desire to create destructive toys. Thousands of years old at the time of their first encounter, the Toymaker was still seen as old by the Doctor, and the Relative Dimensions comic that as recently implied. What's the Relative Dimensions comic? I don't remember hearing that. Is that a Jodie one? Relative Dimensions? Hang on. Doctor Who Relative Dimensions. Relative Dimensions was the 7th story in the full series of the 8th Doctor. No, comic. Is it this one? I don't know. I mean, like, honestly, this is not really part of my head. Oh, Relative Dimensions. There you go. Written by George Mann and Cavan Scott. Traded it. What's the? Do they have the? Oh, Celestial Toymaker. Fine. Okay, so it's that. Whatever this is. Okay, fine. Recently implied that the character was created before Chaos Before Time in what makes the Toymaker early promise of the Doctor. We shall play endless games together, Doctor. Your brain is mine. So terrifying. Look, you want to hear the best Toymaker stuff. That will be the David Bellali version in Big Finish. That stuff's excellent, right? There's a good 8th Doctor Companion Chronicles one. And you got Nightmare Fair, and I think it was in another one, wasn't he? Oh yeah, the Magic Mousetrap. Really, really good stories, right? If the Toymaker is as long-lived as implied throughout the show's canon, then it's entirely possible the character continues to play the Doctor even if thousands of years old now. Then they make that makes sense. The Toymaker has battled many incarnations of the Doctor in comic and audiobook, with Neil Patrick Harris's take on the character being the first since on TV since 1966. Well, they nearly brought him back in, what was it? 86. Okay, so close. To have him return to the small screen eventually was always inevitable. For him to be doing something, we don't know if it's him though. For him to do anything in the meantime will be disappointing. His backstory and motivation will be perfect setup for Rusty Davis. Yeah. Oh look, it's a chick with a dick. Well, Ken. It's just like they're everywhere in this new thing, right? Why the Timeless Child retcon would improve Doctor Who's future, because the Timeless Child is shit and they want to get rid of it and it destroys Doctor Who, right? There's no doubt that the Timeless Child plotline is egregious rewriting of Doctor Who lore that makes the titular Time Lord less compelling and and rewriting the story nearly 60 years of character building is insulting to fans. Well, yeah, we did notice that. Who had previously felt that they were close to the character, only to find comfort ripped away from them in a few episodes. Ripped away from them in a few episodes. While it may seem like a double standard to therefore hope for yet another retcon in the... No, you're retconning the retcon. You're putting it back in the box, right? In the upcoming episodes. Doing so for the recent plotline would be far less problematic for the show and would not alienate fans like Chibnall did. Yeah, no, what you mean? It would like undoing Chibnall's bollocks would bring fans back. That is correct. Yeah, that is indeed correct. If the anniversary specials do decide to go down this route of the toy makers' games, including tricking the Doctor in regard to the timeless child, the show will benefit from it indefinitely. I can't disagree. One of the main appeals of Doctor Who was the adventurousness, and despite that they come from a distant planet full of near immortal Time Lords, their sense of relatability relative to the species, the previous Doctor Who canon had established the Doctor has nothing particularly special about their birthright. Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, you got like the whole Virgin New Adventures. He was the other, but then even the other was reborn as a normal Time Lord. The only difference was he had a belly button. We had Doctor Who canon that had established the Doctor had nothing particularly special birthright. What set them apart was the decision to travel the universe away from the people, and that's why the China Child's plot line needs to be retconned to restore the love of the audience has had for Doctor Who. I do agree with you, right? I do agree with you quite viscerally. Yes, absolutely, I do. Fine, I'm going to wrap it up there. I've got to cut out 10 minutes of this. I'll do it from the Trump stuff at the beginning. I've got to cut out 10 minutes of this because I'm going to take this offline and I'm going to stream it again on Rumble, and I'll do it as a premiere on YouTube later today. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back. If not before Sunday. Oh, just hello to you. Jonathan Cox, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Mr. Jekyll and Hyde, how you doing? I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to keep doing these as live streams, and then because I just normally pre-record them. And Mark TV is here. Well, it should be Mark the Vicar. It will be strange if not. Fine. With that, I'm going to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, and say good night, good luck, and may your God walk with you. I'm going to hit the end broadcast button. I'm going to hit it again, and that